All right, John, I appreciate you joining me today. So I know you coach club baseball as well as is it fifth or sixth grade teacher?
Sixth grade, and I'm sitting here in my
Sixth grade.
classroom right now.
Good stuff. It's awesome. You mentioned you had an assembly today, right?
Had our first virtual assembly with the whole school, 500 kids on Zoom, WebEx. It was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of happy faces, which was great.
Good. It's awesome. And do
Yeah.
you guys go into winter break early? Is that correct?
I don't know about winter break. We have Thanksgiving break next week, and then when our winter break, I think will still be
Gotcha.
around the 20th of December.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, today I really want to touch on a handful of things, primarily stemming from your faith in the Lord. And I know how that has a natural overflow into how you lead your family, how you go about your teaching gig, your coaching gig, and really just want to ask you various questions on those things. So first and foremost, what does your family life look like?
Yeah, I am married 16 years to my wife, Maggie, who we met in college, and she was a basketball player, and I was a baseball player, and we are blessed to have two children. My son JC is a second grader, almost going to be 8 years old here pretty soon. Then we have a daughter named Reese who is starting kindergarten, and all this madness. And it's pretty cool. She gets to go to school with my wife, who's a kindergarten teacher. So that's our family. We were two educators. We have two awesome kids. We got a new quarantine dog named Lucky. We got him last May, and it's just adding more to our family. So yeah, that's our family dynamic right now, and we're also blessed to have our each of our parents within a 40-mile radius to just be available and have other family in town is also great.
Yeah, good stuff. I remember when you picked up Lucky mid-quarantine at this point. How's that been?
It's been a blessing. I mean, we lucked out, no pun intended. But yeah, I mean, other than like the occasional waking up at 4:30 in the morning or whatever for no reason.
Right.
Yeah, it's been good. And we hadn't owned a dog before as a family, so this is new for all of us. But he's sweet with the kids. He's active, which is good for me. Gets me out moving, and he can run with him. So we love it.
Yeah, good stuff. He's a big dog too, right?
Oh yeah, he's medium. Yeah, he's pretty. But he's athletic. We like that. We like those athletic dogs.
You guys been to any dog parks, or is it mostly backyard and walks sort of thing?
Yeah, no, we love the dog park. We love old Shawnee Mission Lake here. The dogs can go run around in the water with each other, and yeah, we love doing that. That's been kind of a cool, just hey, go on a hike, go on a family walk, go to a dog park, and yeah, that's been nice.
Nice, good. Glad to hear it. And then, how about you as a player before you became a coach? What did your playing days entail?
Yeah, so I was fortunate to play 3 years of college baseball at Cowley County Community College for 2 years. Went to Oklahoma State University for 1 year back in 2003, and very successful college career. Got to go to the Junior College World Series 2 times, both years at junior college. Was a junior college All-American. And that was pretty cool. And then playing in the Big 12 Conference, getting to play against some of our local teams here was always a dream growing up. So after those 3 years, I was blessed to get drafted by the New York Yankees. Spent 3 years in their minor league system. Got released. Was lucky to get picked up by the Philadelphia Phillies. Spent another 3 seasons with them, mainly in single A, double A. It really got to be around a lot of good players, a lot of really awesome coaches. Some big name coaches too, just seeing how they go about their business and connect with players. And so I had quite the professional background. And then even I played, 2 years of independent baseball, but even my coaches, they were guys that were in the big leagues, guys like Hal Lanier, who managed the Houston Astros and spent time with the St. Louis Cardinals. Then I went and played for Gary Templeton, who won a World Series with the Padres. It's just a lot of big name coaches who really kind of shaped my playing and then later on coaching career. And then my first stint after playing was coaching with the Chicago Cubs organization as a player coach, kind of a training role. So that was kind of that transition for me.
Yeah, yeah. So you lived in New York for a stint and Chicago in a stint, is that correct?
Well, when you're in the minor league baseball, you live everywhere. But my first experience was in Staten Island, New York, which was pretty cool because we
Yeah,
actually got to, being a Yankees player, you got to go. They gave you a tour of New York City on a bus.
yeah,
You get to go to Yankees games and you kind of experience that New York feel right away. That was cool. And a lot of time in Tampa, a lot of time in New Jersey, a lot of time even up north in Michigan. So yeah, kind of all over with minor
yeah,
league ball.
yeah. Awesome. And do you ever get a chance to take the kids to those various places? Have they been or not yet?
Not yet. We kind of we've been to Florida, but we wish we'll travel some more.
Yeah,
It's a we've been pretty much in the Midwest with them at this point. No
yeah,
plane rides yet, but we'll see if we can get back to that. We'd love to do
yeah,
that.
right. Absolutely. Cool. Well, how about on the coaching side? How has that evolved over the years for you?
Right. So, coaching was probably something I've always wanted to do, even as a player. I just kind of, I think that's why I hung around the minor leagues so much, is because I was good with the younger players and communicated well, supportive. I was a supportive teammate, and my grandpa it was a big league manager. Whitey Herzog is my grandfather, so it was probably inevitable, and he passed down a lot of great advice to me. But yeah, after coaching in professional baseball, and then basically my wife and I, we wanted to plant some roots here in Kansas City and start our family, and so the opportunity to coach high school club baseball just came up, and at the time it was just an immediate yes. Like, I want to coach. I love doing this. Like, this is what I want to do, and so dove right in with a 16-year-old team. I had a 16-year-old 15U team right away, and this is before I had children, and it was quite interesting going from the single A, double A expectation of a baseball player down to high school JV. But
Hmm.
I learned quickly that keep your expectations high and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
demand excellence, and then support them along the way. And ever since then, I've been coaching club baseball, in the summer and the fall, training in the winter, a lot of individual hitting lessons and making connections that way. But really, it's coaching's coaching. At many levels, it's a lot of the same principles, just different levels of talent, right? So that's been a blessing for me for the last 9 years. I've been coaching with the Cavaliers Baseball Club.
yeah. Love it. I love what you shared there. You said, when you came in for like the junior level baseball players, you said you kept your expectations high for them and you supported them along the way. And a while back, I heard kind of a definition of a coach, and they actually referred back to like a stagecoach being a covered wagon, and it was carrying a person of importance from point A to point B. And so, in a similar way, all your players, whether on the field or just in life, they're striving to get to new places. And as a coach, you're trying to support them, cover them, get them to destinations that they might not otherwise have gotten by themselves. So I can hear that come through in what you just shared there. So I think that's really cool. And I love that coaches have the opportunity to do that. And I love that you're taking advantage of that. So we'll totally get more into the in-depths of your coaching experience. But I do see on your little shelf there behind you, you have some little knickknacks. You want to grab one and just kind of explain maybe why one of them's there?
Oh, absolutely. I love this. So I got quite a few things here. So, I got my Chiefs kind of memorabilia as a Shawnee Mission North football helmet.
Okay.
This is this is a University of Michigan kind of thing, but I'll grab a couple of just things for you. So I don't know. Here, I'll grab something. I'll grab that and this. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I like to represent like all walks of life. So I mean, here you can't argue having George Brett, you know.
Ah,
And I like bobbleheads. If your students ever disagree with you or say no, you can always just grab a bobblehead and say yes. You know. So that's just yes, Mr. Urick, yes, John. I'll do exactly what you say. So I love that. But that's great.
that's
This is a
perfect.
enormous baseball that I received at the Junior College World Series, and playing baseball at Cali County in this tournament was one of the best baseball memories I have as a player. And so this is just something it's a good conversation starter with the kids. Like, that's a big baseball. Where'd you get that? And then I have a signed ball from one of my favorite club teams I've ever coached, the 2015 team. We were really good, and plus it was the same year that the Royals won the pennant, won the World Series, and that year is definitely sentimental to all of us here in Kansas City. So yeah, just a few knickknacks that I love to share. Thanks for asking. That's awesome.
Yes, great stuff. Thanks for sharing. So we'll go ahead and roll on into the next thing, which I picked up these conversation cards a while back, and my brother actually introduced them to me. We'll sometimes go through them, just have fun conversation and whatnot. Also, I'll pull out random here, and we'll see what question we get. We'd just love to hear where your mind goes, what your thoughts are. So what we got here, it says, how would you live life differently if you can never die? How could you live life differently if you knew you would never die?
Oh man. I think I'd be a little more of a daredevil. Like I was pretty cautious kid. I wasn't one to just jump off everything like my son does, or even try some like extreme sports and things like that. So I think like with my body, I'd be a little bit more liberal, just going for it, a little bit. So that's probably one thing. Although, I also think that if I knew I would never die, I would take time for granted. And so maybe I wouldn't have the urgency to try new things and like, travel places and make 5-year goals, 10-year goals down the road and things like that. So I think, yeah, it would go both ways for me. That's a good question.
Good answers and good points too. I like those. So the next one, what do you think about when you wake up? And I'm sure that's something that changes daily, but maybe generally speaking, what are some things that you think about like when your day gets going?
It's a good question. I think when I wake up, I immediately go to, that checklist. Like, what am I going to put in the kids' lunch boxes today? What am I going to put in my lunch box today? Am I going to fast or am I going to eat breakfast? Am I going to go lift right now or can I lift tonight? I definitely have a checklist. As a teacher, you got to plan your week. I mean, probably any profession, but you got to plan out your week and then you got to plan out your day and you got to make sure you're prepared because that comes across right away when you get in front of young people. So yeah, I start thinking there, but a lot of times, I'm still on the stage where my kids get me up. I don't have to set an alarm right now, which is unfortunate. So, but when I do, it's intentional, and I do have a checklist. One of those is opening up my Bible and spending as much time as I can in the Word. That's been something that's been a newer thing on my checklist, but a really, really positive thing for me.
Yeah. That's great to hear. I love that. I think that's a great way to start the day. I recently reading this book called The Common Rule, and it's basically about daily habits and weekly habits. And one of his daily habits is he prays morning, middle of the day, and evening. And he actually used the term prayer pretty loosely. He's like, I believe we all start the day with a prayer. And for some of us, it's thinking about what happened in the past that was negative, or maybe the things that we have coming up in the future that are bogging us down, sort of thing. But he's like, I like to seize those moments and praise the Lord in those moments, or give my day to the Lord in those moments. So one of the simple things he said that he did was like just, Lord, have mercy. And I've tried to do that the past couple of weeks ever since I read it. And I mean, it's made a big difference in my day. And I like, similar to you, to start my day just reading in the Word. But before I can even do that, I have to get out of bed. So, and as I'm getting out of bed, naturally already thinking about the different things that he mentioned we could be thinking about. But I've caught myself a few times where it's like, thank you, Lord, for this day. And it just completely shapes the rest of the morning and then so on the rest of the day. And obviously, as things go on, that's why he has another prayer midday to get back on track, and another prayer to cap things off. So I'm sure that resonates with you, just seeing how you start your day with time in the Word. So wanted to share that. We'll go ahead and go through one more of these questions.
Cool.
So how do you show love? And you can put that in general, or you can put it in relation to your kids and your wife.
Right. So my wife would say that I'm a words guy. Words of affirmation is my strength, but she tells me I schmoozer. But no, I mean, I think about, what I say to people, and I think I'm naturally encouraging. I think it's part of why I coach, because I like to encourage others. So showing love is being intentional with acts of service and quality time. So that's those are two ways that I can show it. But really, it's a smile. It's a kind word. It's an open door. I mean, it's just serving. Having that servant's attitude is something that, it's a constant. It's a conscious thing, right? It's a conscious thing, but it's something that you can't stress the importance of it, especially as a man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned you like to be an encourager, and that's a lot of what comes through in your coaching. And I remember when you and I talked a while back, you were just speaking of something that your pastor shared with you, and he said to be a hope dealer. And I know that's needed at all times, is for people to deal hope in a lost and fallen world, but especially now more than ever, being in this elongated COVID season that we are in. So I know you take that to heart, and I know you try to take action on that day in and day out. So I love to hear you bring that back up. Really good stuff. So away from those questions there, would love to go into just coaching advice. So what would you say is the biggest advice you'd give another coach? And so maybe you frame that, this kid's coming out of college, he wants to become a coach. What's some foundational wisdom that you'd give?
Yeah. So a lot of times, as a coach, a young coach especially, you're kind of have this idea that you have to know your place, or defer to older coaches. But I think one of the things that gets lost on young coaches, and I learned this from my grandpa, and he said, the most valuable thing you can have as a coach, especially as an evaluator, is your opinion. The most valuable thing you can have is your opinion. He said, give it. Give it, and give it in a way that comes across as respectful and well thought. Right. But you give your opinion, and then you learn quickly if your opinion stands true or you need to adjust. But give it, because that's how you see if you're on par with other coaches or your mentor or your superior, whatever it may be. If you're not, then you go back and you adjust. But I think just being able to come to a place where you can give your opinion, and if you're in an environment where your opinion's not welcome, then it might be an environment that you need to look at and change.
Really good, really good. And I think that's two parts. You got to learn how to give it as well as receive it. And I know you've shared that before as well. So you want to be a good speaker as well as a good listener. And I think that both of those are extremely valuable, especially for a young coach. Next question is, what's a routine you have, whether it's something you tell your players, whether it's like the way you set up things in practice, the way you go about strategizing for a game or a season? Is there any routines that you have to your coaching?
A couple of routines that kind of stood out when you said that. So I have one pet peeve, and this is just, it's preparing yourself for a game or a practice. And you always want to prepare, if your body, you want to be prepared. I never let my team take the field without running sprints. Why would I let the first hard sprint you run be the first time you hit a ground ball at the second baseman? You're trying to beat it out. Like, no one's going to pull a hamstring on my watch right there. So by preparing yourself, well, that involves a lot of things. If I'm going to prepare myself early, or prepare myself with my body, I need to make sure I'm at the ballpark on time, or even early, get myself ready that way. If I make that a priority, then I'm scheduling out my day accordingly, So it kind of stresses like the idea that, hey, I'm gonna make getting warmed up a priority and get my sweat going. So when it is time to take the field, I'm just prepared in that way. And I think that fits with your mentality as well. Yeah. There's just one routine I always tell my teams. And then I just say, like, I have two rules every year. And that's rule number one is be on time. Kind of goes along with that. Just responsibility thing. And then the other rule is just bust your tail. If you play as hard as you can, if you hustle, and if you're on time, that shows me that you care. Yeah. And to me, that's where it all begins. Do you have the right passion and the right drive?
Yeah.
So hope that answers that question.
Oh, those are really good routines, really good non-negotiables to any season, any coach. And I think that's great life advice as well. Like if your players apply those same 2 rules to the rest of their life, I believe they'll see great success, and regardless of what path they take, et cetera.
Yeah. Or how about this? Be on time. Hey, if you're running late, let me know.
Yeah.
How about a text? You know, and that's a whole nother skill, right? That just being like I did with you. I was a little bit late today, but I texted you ahead of time. I'm running late, you know, and you were like, no problem. So, so put me in the lineup. I appreciate it. I'm in the lineup.
Yeah. Tangible example. I love it. So stepping away from coaching just for a brief, couple minutes here. I know, as already mentioned, you like to spend time in the Word. You'd consider yourself a man of faith, someone who has a relationship with God. How would you say that began? Where did that begin for you?
Right. I went to a Presbyterian church growing up. You know, had a routine of going to church on Sunday. That was probably the first step, just having that as part of our routine. And fortunate now today, my wife was the same way. Like, you went to church on Sunday, and that's a great first step. We were both involved in our youth groups through church and things like that. But I kind of started getting on a deeper level in the middle school years. And I was lucky to have some good friends that invited me along to some different church events, Wednesday night, high school, middle school gatherings, and just really diving deeper into my faith. Those years are so valuable because you're learning who you are, you know, in middle school and whatnot. And a lot of us are still learning who we are, but really that's a crucial time. Yeah. And for me, it hit perfect. Like 7th grade, 8th grade, I just started hearing the word and the relationship described just a little bit different. And so 7th and 8th grade was really when I think I made a choice, like, I'm going to go down this path.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to follow Jesus and make this something that's a part of my life. And that's really where it began. And then from then on, it was just developing that, you know, more and more, and really just still an ongoing journey of who am I, what's my purpose, and how can I, you know, learn to be more like Jesus every day, you know. So that's kind of how that all began, and still transcended into, you know, into now.
Yeah.
And like I said, fortunately, my wife we have those same ideals and principles, and we want to make church and our church family a priority first and foremost. And then right now we're trying to explore ways to serve, and then in this, you know, COVID season, how can we serve and do a family service project and things of that nature. But it all stems from that foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, foundation is a great word for that. And I know it sounds like you had this foundation very early on in your life. What maybe could you point to that have been other things that are vying to be that foundation in your life that are good things, but they're not quite making, you know, God the foundation? If you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I'm fortunate to have a positive family model. You know, both my parents were in the house growing up, and both of my grandparents were in the house growing up. I don't know. I just think it makes things easier. You know, we all know it makes things easier for us. And I was blessed to have that situation. And really, a lot of my friends had the same, you know, same story, but also friends. You know, you are the company you keep. Mm-hmm. And I think that for anyone looking to change a behavior or just keep a behavior positive, you really got to seek out people who make you better, people who make you want to be better, or be the best people you can. And so I really think for me, it was just surround yourself with good people and try to be a light for others, you know, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the key things for us.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, I mean, just as human beings, it seems like we have a natural tendency to figure out, you know, what is my purpose? What is my calling? What is my identity? Why do I do the things that I do? What would you say for someone who maybe doesn't have a relationship with God? What could be like a clicking point for them, or what's something that stuck out to you that may relate to them as far as, man, maybe God is the answer for me?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. When we teach our 6th graders, especially about, like, you know, what's your mission statement? You know, what's your mission? And that's a hard thing to answer. sometimes, especially when you don't have the context of, you know, you talking about the Bible, or talking about your spiritual life, and what is your mission? And usually the answers kind of come from a place of, well, I want to be better at this, or I want to be good at this. And you start tapping into, well, what are you good at now? What are your gifts? What are your talents? You know, what do you think you're good at? And if they don't know, well, what would somebody else say that you're good at? And eventually they come up with, well, I have this talent, or I have this interest, or I have this gift. And one thing I kind of learned is that, you know, God's going to put you in situations where you're going to be successful and be able to use your gifts. Like, that's why he gave you your gifts, you know? And so when you find yourself in that, you know, in that area or that walk of life, it kind of does, it's kind of eerie. It's like, wow, yeah, I'm here. I am serving this purpose right now. And I didn't expect to get here, or how I got here, you know, could be unconventional, but, you know, the Lord's going to put you in a place to use your talents and use the gifts that he gave you.
Absolutely love it. Well, thank you for sharing on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Would love to go back to coaching a little bit. And you've been doing this for a few years now. So as you look back, I know you showed us that ball from 2015. What would you say is like the biggest story of victory from your coaching? And maybe you could list one that is, you know, results oriented. Maybe you can list one that's, you know, life impact.
Yeah, I mean, I always say my favorite part about coaching, especially because I now work with high school seniors mainly that I'm trying to help move on to the next level. And the most rewarding thing is watching them play at the next level, going to their college games. I mean, that's the most rewarding thing. But now what's really great, this is probably the best thing, is that now they're old enough, like I've been doing it long enough now, they're back coaching with us. They liked it enough, and they were impacted enough to finish their coaching career. And they might all have other careers that they're involved in as young professionals, but yet they're coming back to coach with us. And especially some of my favorite players, and I hate saying favorite, I use that loosely, but, you know, just players that I really had a strong relationship with.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't pressure them to come back, but here they are. And it's I think now out of our 14 or 15 coaches that we have, I think like 6 or 7 are guys that I've coached. So it's really, really cool to see them. And now I get to mentor them as a coach. How cool is that?
Yeah.
How cool is that? So that's probably my favorite story right now, and most rewarding thing. But
Yeah, that's a great point, and I totally agree. The coaching I actually do now is with the former club that I played with. And obviously, you know, being involved in athletics, you play the sport because you love it. And then there is that piece of the puzzle where you want to stay connected to the game, and then you also want to give back. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest reasons I got into coaching is because of the good coaches that I had. And so I just want to be that positive role model for other kids and so on and so forth. So I can totally see what you're saying there. Would love to hear, how would you define a successful program? What's a successful team in your eyes?
yeah, you know, for me, it's when you look at a successful team, there's something, right? You notice something. And I know in our program, it's you know, hustle, like running hard down the first base line, getting in and out of the dugout. I mean, those are things that we try to hang our hat on as a program, because it speaks to your passion, to your energy, things that you can control. I think that's probably first and foremost. You know, respecting your opponent, respecting the umpires, parents and families respecting the opponent and the umpire. I think those are easy things to help you feel successful, because those are all things you can control. You know, your dedication to training and bettering your abilities in the off season, how you study, not only academics, but just how you study yourself, how you study the game that you're coaching in or playing in. You know, those things set yourself up for success. And so, but at the end of the day, you know, you want to coach good people first, right? You want to coach good people. You want to teach them to play the game the right way by the rules. So you play by the rules, and you're a good person, and you have effort. Okay, you're going to find ways to win. You know, you're going to find ways to win. So that's kind of, I would say those principles right there for starters.
Oh, those are a lot of really good things. And I think right off the bat, you said, I think a successful team, you notice something's different about them. And it just made me think of the culture that we have today, especially the younger ages, like everybody gets a medal. Well, why is everybody getting a medal when there's nothing different about what they're doing or the effort they're putting forth, or they're not necessarily sowing something in order to reap something. It's just a given that they get the same result regardless. So it sounds to me like what you're putting in is very important and your definition of success. So love that.
I always tell my players, the biggest compliment I can get from any other coach or umpire or anything, like there's two words. It's like, man, you guys were fun to watch. You played hard and you had class.
Yeah.
Like those words right there, like, oh, tell me I have class, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me my players play the right way. Oh, that's enough. That's enough.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. That happened to me this fall, just by a referee. We were walking together out of the park at the same time. And, after he said those almost similar words, it's just like, oh man, this is what it is all about. Love it. Nice. So I know you've done a little bit of recruiting as well. What does that look like exactly for you? Do you serve as like the liaison for the player to the college they want to go to? Or are you consulting for a college to these players, or what does it entail for you?
Yeah. So my main job, other than coaching with the Cavaliers Baseball Club, is the recruiting or the college placement coordinator. So I'm trying to, be a bridge from the player to the coach, to see, what the need of the college or university could be, and do we have a player that fits that need? And on the flip side, just helping the players communicate themselves and sell themselves, to these college programs. And so it all kind of starts with me just building up the trust and relationships with these college coaches over the years, and then and a big part of that is following through after, when they get to the colleges, making sure that they're, being a good citizen and embracing the college culture that they're in and things like that. So it really does, like, because that, that really falls back on our program too. If we can keep sending people quality players and quality people, they're going to keep, coming back. And I think for the most part, we've done that. I mean, not every player goes to college and stays 4 years or 2 years anymore. That's a big deal. The transfers are up, and you hate to see that. But it's not for everybody, but at least you give them a chance, an opportunity. And that's something that's been great. We've really, of all the players that want to play at the next level, we have a 100% success rate.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on finding a place for everybody, and hopefully a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you can relate, taking that step from high school to college. You don't know what you don't know, and there's a lot out there to figure out and sort through. And it's like, okay, how do I land the college that I want to be playing at? And there's so many variables to it. And I'm sure just as far as communication, marketing yourself, everything. I know it constantly evolves too, with just like the highlight videos that people are able to put out nowadays and whatnot. What have been some consistencies that you've seen, like, stood the test of time, that kind of allow players to get from high school to college, if you will?
Well, I think the measurables speak for themselves. You run what you run, as far as speed goes. And I guess nowadays they have other measurables, but your grades are your grades. Your ACT score is your ACT score. I think a lot of programs, especially in baseball, because the scholarship money isn't there, so they're going to look at your GPA and your ACT and your academic stuff, and that's something that's going to stand the test of time as well. And the scholarship situation ever changes. And then I think that's something that's invaluable is a paragraph or a write-up from your coach, from your high school coach, people who are in your corner, who are going to say nice things about you, that are honest.
Yeah.
I tell players, I'm never gonna lie to a coach about you. I'm gonna be honest, and I want to be able to say honest things and mean it.
Yeah.
And so I think just the message from a bio from a coach is huge in helping these players along.
Good things. Thanks for sharing those as well. Real quickly, to go back to your playing days, when you think back to your playing days and you think of a great moment, what immediately comes to mind?
I got to think about college. I just feel like I really excelled, especially at the junior college level. I remember hitting a home run off the right field foul pole to give Coach Burrows at Cali County his 500th career win. I can still remember that. And I can remember some big moments in the Junior College World Series where I, hit a big home run or had a big game and came through there. So yeah, those stand out to me right now. But I was fortunate. It sounds different, but in the minor leagues, I was able to win 4 minor league championships, which is kind of a dubious honor, but still a championship. And I remember having some success, in one of our finals games in single A when we won that title. I think a big extra inning home run was pretty cool. So yeah, cool stuff like that.
Good stuff. Got a handful of moments to point back to. Big time, big time. I've, kind of been able to tell your heart behind coaching and why you coach. Do you by chance have a coaching purpose statement?
I have a personal mission statement. It just basically says, and it kind of changes year to year. My mission statement this year is my mission is to lead, love, and serve others with a humble and joyful spirit.
Man,
lead, love, and serve others with a humble and joyful spirit. And I have that written in a few different places. On my iPad background, I open up my iPad and I see it there. And, that means a lot because as a coach, it's very easy for me to tell the players how great I was or, how good I was. And, and that's not being humble. It can be, you can use a personal story to coach and to teach. And that's a great way to do that. But some of the most impactful lessons are the ones of my failure that I can teach to not only my students, but my athletes. Hey, I remember what it was like when it was going bad. And this is what I was feeling. These are my emotions, right? So those are the invaluable coaching moments and lessons, I think. Teach from your failures because that makes it pretty real for them.
Man, I love that. I think coaching is such a good leadership opportunity with your athletes. But I think one that many people get the opportunity to experience is just fatherhood. And I know you have 2 kids, and I'm sure in the same way you're teaching your athletes, you're also in even more ways teaching your kids and hoping to impart lessons on them. And I'm sure if you point to failures, but use those as learning lessons for them, they probably appreciate that all the more. So that's a great point you mentioned there. You said your mission statement changes yearly. How long have you been doing that?
I think it's something that kind of goes along with teaching, because you're going to find yourself in different seasons, just like we're in. So I think you can have, like an overall kind of purpose, like, hey, I'm like, there's some studies out there, sometimes there's like like 2 words maybe that you get from some Bible study or some kind of assessment you do. And I know one for me has been like encouraging others. Like this is a gift that I've been given and something that can hang my hat on no matter what season I'm in, right?
Right.
Encouraging others. But yeah, I think, you have your one word for the year. You have your short-term and long-term kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I meant by that.
It's good.
Yeah.
What would you say if you could guess, or if you've been able to gauge, what do your athletes enjoy about being a part of your program?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think they like learning. I think I just enjoy teaching the game, and there's a lot of, advanced things that you're able to teach kids. And if you have experience for sure that you can pass along. And I think they always learn something. I always say you can win 20-2 and have a million things to teach, after a game, after a win or a loss. Right. So I think just like learning the game is something that I think they really do enjoy, especially in a club setting, because they're paying money to be a part of your program. And as a club, it's a business, but it's also they take it seriously. They want to be there. And then they're invested in your program. And so if they're learning the game, and learning how to improve their game, then I think that's where the fun happens. You know, we all perk up when we start saying, have those aha moments with anything, you know.
Yeah.
Lately it's been my golf swing. I have a few ahas and it keeps me coming back, right? Yeah, I think that's one thing. And then I don't know. I think that our program, historically we haven't had a lot of Division I type athletes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of junior college, small 4-year colleges that they end up going to, and so I think there's a I don't know, a prove yourself mentality in a way. I think you know, there's something there, like call it a chip on your shoulder, call it what you will, but I think they enjoy competing at a high level. And I think the idea that you can be a good person but a fierce competitor at the same time is something that we definitely try to stress with them.
Yeah, great stuff. And just going back to what you mentioned a few minutes ago, learning through failures or hard times, you know, we often shy away from leading with those as to maybe it's a pride thing. I'm not sure, but you know, coaching, I truly believe is a great role. It has a lot of blessings to it, but without a doubt, there are certainly challenges. What are some common challenges for you within coaching?
Yeah, I think some common challenges for me is one, time with the players. I often get players on my team for 1 year, maybe a year and a half, because the way our program has been structured lately is, since I do the recruiting, a lot of times I will coach only the 18-year-olds, only the senior class, you know, and I get them in the fall and I have that year, you know. Now I'm fortunate to connect with maybe some younger players along the way, whether it's just through practice or whether it's through being a substitute coach with their team. Maybe it's through hitting lessons or something. So I definitely have the opportunity to build relationships for multiple years. But I think for me personally, that is a common challenge. Is I get a year and a half with a player, you know, what kind of impact can I make, and how much better can they get? I do take a lot of pride in that. I hate seeing a player like come to me and then they don't get better. So, you know, I think that's a common challenge, is the time. And I think it works both ways. I think it's important for, you know, the player and the athletes to have some consistency with their leadership. But then again, it's also good to hear different voices and have different perspectives. And so I hope with the time with me that they get the best of me and you know, a different perspective, but also maybe a different outlook and a different challenge for me as well, going back to my high expectations.
Right. Nice. Well, would just love to touch on just some general life questions. I don't know how you, in a sense, refine your craft. I don't know, maybe it's podcasts, different audios, different books, etc. But maybe through something you're learning lately, what's something that sticks out to you?
Yeah, so I've been, you know, really into and learning a lot about just leadership in general and what makes a good leader, and something that, you know, that's something that's been asked in our culture today, in our country today. You know, what does leadership look like? What do you look for in a good leader? So I've been reading some books that deal with leadership. I'm hopefully starting my master's soon in leadership. I participate in some school leadership teams and things like that. So that's a big word, but I don't know. I think that we practice these things at my school called the 7 habits of highly successful people. And those are some things I've really been studying how to apply in my own life.
Yeah.
For example, habit 7 is sharpen the saw. So how do you balance your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul in your daily life? And so I've made a little score sheet for myself that I've been trying to keep track of, you know, and rating myself every night. You know, did I win the day or lose the day? But so along with that, I've been reading this book called the 4 Disciplines of Execution, which goes along with that. So I don't know, things like that. Leadership stuff is something that helps me run an organization, run a classroom, communication skills. And really, when you boil it down, it's when you have a team, it's empowering leaders.
Yep.
You know, and and honestly, two of the things I've really been stressing, because I hear these things through our school and our community, is, and I tell my team the same thing. I say, number one is everyone can lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we went back to everyone has talents, everyone has their gifts and their own purpose, right? So everyone has their own unique ability to lead. And then number two is, I love this, is change starts with me. And that covers lots of walks of life. If you want to see change, it starts here. And you want to change your performance on the field. Well, it starts with an adjustment here, or I got to be able to receive coaching, whatever that may be. So I love those two phrases. Everyone can lead, and change starts with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great. Thank you for sharing all of that. I always love to hear about leadership, and it sounds like you've been studying it a lot and will further do so in the future. So I'd love to stay in touch with you on just different things you're learning and seeing take place and your influence. And I think one of the things you mentioned there too is just empowering people. And I do believe that different people have been given different gifts, passions, and therefore the ability to pursue those with excellence and turn outwards and lead with them. And I think, anybody can be a good leader with what they're giving out, but to be a great leader becomes that empowerment piece is, okay, how are those people that you're giving to turning out to give to other people? And that is a true, I think, testament of a great leader. So similar to you, when you look back to your athletes, like, what are these guys doing now? Not only what did I give to them? So great point there. I would say you mentioned you have a dog, 2 kids, a wife, family time is great. And I know that you're a big family guy. What are some maybe traditions you guys have in this holiday season over Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I think we're starting some new ones this year. I know, we talked about doing, what kind of family service project we can do, in this season. Maybe it's just picking up some gift cards and just passing them out to people that we see that need them. Maybe it's participating in the mobile food drive at our church and getting the kids out and doing some kind of season, at least during the season, holiday seasons, we try to do a service project of some kind. So that's something that's big on our hearts. It's going to be harder to see family this year. So that's something that's, kind of a struggle. I'm not going to lie right now, but right now we sit at the dinner table every night, and my wife so awesomely, she finds little discussion prompts, like, what do you think? What are you thankful for? And what, what's something that gives you comfort that you're grateful for? What's something that makes you feel happy? And we love those things around our table because, our kids are thinking about what they're going to get, right? They're all thinking about what they're going to get right now. What's Santa going to bring them? So having that servant's mindset, even with our kids, is big for us. And so I think we always try to be intentional and lean on that. I would call that a tradition. And then, you got to watch your movies. You got to watch Home Alone and you got to watch Christmas Vacation and Elf and Harry Potter. I mean, you just got to watch them all. I stay away from Hallmark, although I know that's a fan favorite. When I'm not there, I'm just not. So, and you can't ignore holidays either without sports. I mean, it's really, I can't wait for college basketball to start next week. That's going to be awesome. You got the Chiefs playing so well. How about Tony Gonzalez and behind you? That's a penalty now.
I know, unfortunate.
Kelsey did that and got flagged. So, times change.
Bad day. Keep doing it, Kelsey. That's all right.
We'll take it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, you touched on a lot of good fronts there. You hit on everything that I could think of, and I'm sure your family has a rich time in the holiday season. So way to be intentional. Thanks for sharing those. The next few questions will kind of just cap off our time together, and they're just meant to be rapid fire. So whatever comes to your mind first, I would just love to hear the initial thought. So who's your favorite athlete?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan.
Do you remember Nolan Ryan?
I do not.
Nolan Ryan, let me show you. Can you give me a quick little trip?
Yeah.
Little trip. Nolan Ryan, okay? They call him the Express. And
All right.
my friend Andrew Walker, who's a believer, painted this for me in college.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
This is Nolan Ryan.
Legit.
Nolan Ryan is throwing like 180 pitches in a game in his
Oh,
big league career. Nolan Ryan has the record for most no-hitters in a career. That man is a machine.
wow.
One of the hardest throwers from back in the day, but 7 career no-hitters. He has the record for the most strikeouts, the most one-hitters. That guy was one of the best pitchers in baseball history. But
Wow.
I think just he pitched into his like mid 40s. I think 44, 45 years old.
Wow.
Part owner of the Texas Rangers still.
Man.
But that guy was the express. It was, hey, when I start a game, I intend on finishing it. That was the mentality. And
Yeah.
again, times have changed, right?
Right.
You just don't see that as much anymore. And maybe he was just the anomaly, you know. But amazing pitcher, and I just remember watching him when I was a kid. You know, he was kind of finishing his career, but man, you just didn't see a ball come out of a guy's hand like that. It was unique.
Goodness.
It was unique. So
Wow.
sorry that wasn't a rapid fire, but I had to show you that name.
That was perfect. I'll have to look into Nolan a little bit more. What a quality career it sounds like. As far as professional ranks go, who's a coach that you like to look up to or model some things after?
Professional ranks. Well, you know, close to home, Andy Reid, the way he just gets players to buy into his system, even though he's had a lot of success, he's got a track record for taking players with maybe a troubled past or have made mistakes, and he makes them a part of his culture. I think that just says a lot about who he is as a man and as a mentor to young people. I don't know. He stands out to me right now.
Yeah, it's great. So as a coach running from practice to practice, if you were to grab a beverage that refreshes you, what would it be?
You know, I can't pass up an ice cold Coke from Quick Trip out of a styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
That's probably my go-to right now. Although I'm a big fan of sweet tea as well.
Yeah, very nice. How about on the TV show front? Maybe current show you're watching, or in the past, what's a favorite TV show of yours?
Well, shows I've recently binge watched have been Parks and Rec and The Office, but you know, I'm not a big emotional person when I watch TV, but this show, This Is Us, it's a good one. Man, I mean, no one's too manly to watch This Is Us. That one's a good one. And then I gotta say, Cobra Kai. If you haven't watched Cobra Kai, the series on Netflix that was out recently, I mean, talk about nostalgia. That took me back. So you know, it's it's solid. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good stuff. And the first show you mentioned, This Is Us. So I haven't watched that yet. How many seasons of that are there?
I think this is the 3rd.
Okay.
It's the 3rd. Just started back up.
Yeah. And you've been tracking ever since it started, essentially, or did you pick it up after it got going?
Picked it up a little bit after I got going, but got caught up pretty quick. Yeah. I think, you know, my wife started watching it, and I got hooked. And I always appreciate a show that I can watch with my wife, because that gives us some time together in the evenings when the kids are down and just kind of unwind and laugh together or whatever. But so yeah, that was more of hers, but I really like it.
Yeah. Nice. And since you bring up the wife, when you guys have something to celebrate and it's just you two, what restaurant do you head to?
Yeah, we really we tend to go sushi when we without the kids, you know, do something that they don't usually get to go to. So we like if we go to the Plaza or something, like Kona Grill's great. We try different places. I love barbecue, but I try not to drag her to every barbecue place I want to try. So yeah, I think sushi is what we lean on.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Cool. Well, appreciate you taking some time. It was fun, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I love being able to talk about this kind of stuff. It gets me fired up.
Love it. Well, have a good one, John.